evermore, and the chances of them liking the art, checking the description, maybe trailer, of playing it is infinitely more than having to like have a paywall in front of it.
It's like YouTube
so there's
all over.
it opens up so many opportunities to for in the end have someone become a fan and more exposure for your project. And it might require some, creativity outside of just paying for a product, right? Which I think indie developers should be at the forefront, always evolving.
Yeah, and I think the key there that also kind of relates to what I was trying to say is that, like you said, there's an opportunity, right? Indie developers are usually at the forefront of these opportunities. What I'm trying to express here, to pull Larry Cam, if you know that short games aren't going to do well on that platform and you make a short game, is it the platform's fault that your game isn't lined up to be successful or as successful as a game that's like, hey, you know what does great on this platform because it's play per minute? Really engaging games that take a long time to complete. Because even though it may take more money for you to develop that game, platform specific, that's a better partnership.
Yeah, we're just getting some complaint that my mic is super low. Hello.
I got the mics at
We're
75%.
good? All right. Just let us know on Twitch. Sorry to interrupt you, Larry.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right.
That's why we have Twitch tech support. Thank you so much, TTS. So anyway, just to wrap up what I was saying, the hard part that I have with somebody being upset about the platform, saying like, oh, it's a pay-per-minute platform, just understand that that's the market. That's the rules for doing business there. If you evaluate that your product isn't going to do well there, then you might just want to avoid it altogether and find an area where your product will do well, right? If you're going there with your product that's not going to do well and you start kicking and screaming and demanding that they change what they're doing so that your $2 2-minute game can sell and be just as revenue producing as like a long form, very engaging, like you said, Red Dead, that will do great on that platform.
Your mic needs to be closer to your face. That's what they're saying. It's not my mic. There you go.
This is anyway. So if your game is not going to do well on the platform, and you go to that platform kicking and screaming and demanding that they change their rules, like you're totally missing out how free market and business is supposed to work, right? Go to the platform that will make your game do better. Go to the platform that you believe will give you the best advantage for what you're doing, or better, create the platform that you think will help make that game do well. I actually wouldn't blame a Netflix business model for killing the game industry or for, ruining what it costs or what it takes to be a game developer because they've created an opportunity for game developers to sell games in a new way.
Yeah.
There's always going to be these shifts. There's always going to be these changes.
You got to adapt.
We have to adapt.
We have to adapt to the market.
Adapt.
You're not going to stop. This is happening.
Yeah.
To fold your arms and say, I don't like it because someone's going to play Rockstar more.
Yeah.
Or Grand Theft Auto more than my short 2-hour game. Of course. I mean, that's just how it always has been, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you're not charging $60 for your 2-hour game, right? You're charging $20. And yes, there should be a variable. Yeah. There is a difference between a 60-hour game versus a 2-hour game. And that difference, having that very small numerical value, I think is very fair, right? Because flip that on the other side, it's like people have to complete a 60-hour game to finish my game, but it's equal to your 2-hour game, right? Yeah. Those guys won't be happy either. Yeah. Right. To have that variable is very important for this model to work.
And it's honestly, it's fair-ish.
Yeah.
It's fair in a sense of like, hey, we have a pay per minute platform. Someone played your game for 5 minutes. Someone played their game for 2 hours.
Yeah. That's like everything.
We're treating you guys the same, but they created something that draw more engagement or more participation.
And let me kind of translate that to how you feel, right? When YouTube finally watching videos, their watching habits, they've been weighing it more towards minutes watched, more than view counts.
Yes.
Right. So how did you feel about that? Did you feel like something like that was appropriate?
Well, this is going to be revealing, but I actually didn't understand why that would be the switch until I started using one of my YouTube accounts that wasn't under my email that has no ads.
Right.
Because for the last couple of years, like my main YouTube account, I've been paying the $10 to get no ads. So me watching 30 seconds of video versus 2 hours of video, I didn't feel my experience changed whatsoever. So it actually didn't click with me until I have this other email for this old account that I was using and updating content on. And then I started watching videos on that account. if I'm watching a video of like 15, 20 minutes, there's 3 advertisement opportunities in that video.
So you get paid more.
So YouTube is generating more ad impressions because if a video is engaging and keeps me watching for an hour, that's potentially 4 different times that they can show me
more
a banner ad or completely interrupt the video and then show like a 10-second commercial and then go back to the video. So now I was like, oh, okay, it totally makes sense. I see. I was the privileged and I had like, what is let them eat cake kind of attitude because I had no idea. Then being on the other side and seeing how they actually roll out ads, I understand now why they go more for engagement versus just a view. Yeah. You see one ad if you just do one ad and they clicked it and they watched it, one view. Yeah. If you have an hour video, that still counts as one view. But I got 4 ad impressions instead of 1. Yeah. So I understand why they're going.
Yeah, as a business model and even as a consumer, I understand that. Yeah. And that is important, right? To just to just have that number. If someone's just playing for 2 minutes, right, and then leaves, it shouldn't be equal to someone playing 60 hours on a game. It shouldn't be. No. I mean, as a developer, you have to respect other developers' time. Yeah. Put into the game to allow that opportunity for players to actually play that long. So far, don't agree with you, Teddy. So let's go back. Let's see what other points he has.
I mean, I'm sure Teddy's smart enough to know that, like, if it's not going to work out on that platform, maybe find the thing that it will work out.
Yeah, no, well, the thing is, like, no one's forcing you to put the game. You always have that choice, right? You don't have to put on the Game Pass. You don't have to put it, just go out there and yell in a crowded room, right? Just do what you keep on doing as an indie developer,
No disrespect to these types of parents, but I'm not that type of parent where, like, if my kid sucked at basketball, I'm like, Coach, I demand you to get my son 30 minutes a game.
It's actually pretty important to point that out, right? So Teddy from Hyper Light Drifter was a successful game, and a successful indie game. They drummed up enough noise. It was a huge game for indie developers. Yeah. And so he's on a mountain, right, respectively, that he's able to kind of make these choices. Like, I don't want to be on the platform. Yeah. But all those little guys, man, where every little exposure helps, they will crowd around something like this. Yeah. It's like, hey, Xbox will actually help promote my game and put it next to fucking Shadow at War. That's a huge opportunity. Yeah. Right.
It's a controlled and closed end marketplace right now, right? Again, you go to a movie theater, you have maybe 8 choices of movies, thousands of people. Right. If you really break it down, you're going to see a lot of support, even for the shitty movie, because that's just the option that they have there. Right. You know what I mean? You go to a buffet, there may be plentiful, but you're going to pick something that's there, right? Yeah. So when you have this closed market environment, it's better to compete against 99 other games than 99,000 other games. Yeah. So since this is new, since these things are on the rise, such a tasty morsel of an opportunity, especially for small guys, because it's so much better for them to think about being one of 100 versus one of 100,000, 200,000, one of 50,000, however many games come out a day. I don't know what the number is anymore, but it's something ridiculous.
There's a lot of games coming
3,000 uploads a day to Steam. Something ridiculous. It's just like YouTube now.
Right. So relatively short narrative experience are indie games bread and butter. A bulk of the market's most acclaimed titles are Harvesters from the Game, Gone Home to the Moon, all these like very short experiences. And they help drive video games into mainstream conversations about art. Yeah, okay.
I agree.
Yes. Setting narrative aside, most indie games are inherently shorter than AAA, yes, because they come from smaller teams with vastly different resources. Yeah. Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, was designed to take 60 hours to complete, though it required hundreds of millions of people to crunch to finish it, and was built by a handful of, in comparison, a small game like Celeste was taking 10 hours to finish, but was built by a handful of people on the budgets of thousands. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I hope they're not making a case about this, because these are facts, but it has nothing to do with
It's not leveraging the argument.
It's not leveraging the argument, yeah. The indie scene is also where developers go to craft their pet projects, experiment with new ideas, all of which leads to a lot of 10-hour games and less overall playtime, translating to a bad deal for developers on a cost per hour. How is that a bad deal? What are you talking about? The profit margin, of course, with a smaller team is vastly way huger than a big development team, right? I mean, you got to factor
the opposite then. The profit margin for small developers is bigger.
Yeah.
Than,
so if an indie title game sells 1 million copies.
Oh yeah.
Versus
and 2 people made it.
Yeah, and versus a Red Dead Redemption only sell 1 million copies. The Red Dead Redemption team is a flop. Yeah. They will not be there the next day to even see those news. So what that only argues the fact that it's hard for indie developers, and if they do it right and have a good in good company, you know, people finding them, they will sell well, right? And this doesn't help the argument.
Yeah, I think that obviously we all know that it's going to be difficult to make a really good, flashy, like super successful indie game when you're talking about small budget, small resources, small opportunities. Time is something that they may or may not have because they might be doing this when they get home from work kind of thing. We know that there's a ton of hurdles to try to be successful as an indie developer. But that doesn't mean that like just because this new platform exists, it's like ruining your opportunity further. It's like it really is a like take it or leave it, and it's not going to hurt your business either way. I'm not mad if I'm like a star basketball player that some of my friends want to play baseball. I have nothing to do with baseball. I'm still making money in basketball. People still watching basketball. There's platforms for what I do. Yeah. And if this new platform is on the rise, but it doesn't really work well with my business model, then so be it.
No, definitely.
I will say this though, if anybody is worried about anything, I just go back to streaming. Like streaming, I feel like is the biggest threat to small developers, single player, linear story narrative games, more so than a new platform to sell those games. I'd say the bigger threat is
for people to actually play your games.
Like, I bought the game. I've got 10 million subscribers. I just did a full stream. People loved it. I got all these donations. Yeah. I got all this money, all this sponsorship, all these commercials.
None of that goes to
my
developers.
4-hour stream. None of that went to the developer. Yeah. But also 3,999,999 people are also not going to buy the game potentially because it was a linear story-driven experience and they just saw the whole story.
They saw the whole movie, right? And again, that's on the developers, right? That's on the developer to evolve and adapt and to make sure that it is more than just a viewing experience. Yeah. That's just the way it is, man.
If you're in business, and this is outside of games, this is just in general, if you're in business and you expect money to come the same way it's always come, you are ignorant to the fact that society's interests, markets change and shift as time goes on. Yeah. New technologies, new experiences, new wants, new tastes, new habits. Yeah. Society and culture is always changing. It's always churning. You have to be agile and keep your finger on the pulse. If you are a stagnant business who's like, this is how we've always done it. Yeah. If your business model is this is how it's always been or this is how we've always done it, you are essentially just going downhill. Your trajectory, even if right now is going up, I promise you, your long-term average is
huge decline. Yeah. Yes. Huge decline. So far, they haven't said anything to convince me, man.
Dude,
you're not making your
Ford,
case.
Right, was like selling horse and buggies. Like, horse and buggies, that's how we've always done it, damn it.
Well, just look at nowadays.
Premium leather.
Tesla, when they came out,
for your horses.
Everybody was the same thing. Exactly. It was a horse and carriage.
Okay, exactly. So Tesla comes out with like, hey, we want to be, fully electronic vehicles, yada, yada, yada. Remember how much...
Laughed out of the room.
Remember, exactly. Yeah. Look at Tesla now. Had the year where they sold more Teslas than Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes.
And it's the preferred luxury car.
It is.